to BBB, the Beauty Business Builder. This is the leading podcast in beauty business development. If you're ready to feel unstoppable and take your beauty business to the next level, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Essjay Hartshorn on social media and subscribe to Essjay's YouTube channel. Welcome to BBB.
Hi, this is Essjay and welcome to BBB. I have a very exciting podcast lined up for you today. I have an interview with Maddi Cook from Boss Your Salon. Now, if this is the first time watching, then welcome, and I do encourage you to go back to the beginning. I think we're on episode 22 now, but there's some really good interviews along the way, some really good tips and strategies that you can put into your beauty business to help become more diverse, to pivot your business, and to help get them long-term goals that you are striving towards. If you're a regular watcher, then thank you so much. Now, what I have decided to do, and I announced on my last podcast, is give shout-outs to these people that are regular watchers that leave me really good reviews. Because basically I do this because I actually want to share my knowledge and skills with you, but also leaving a review is so important to me, just so I can help other people and help inspire other people as well. So I've decided that every podcast that I do, I am going to give a shout out to one of my fans that have left me a review. So if you want me to give you a shout out and your business a shout out, then make sure you leave a review through the iTunes app, podcast app, and you may get a shout out next week. So I want to shout out to Katie from Beauty Room. Now, Katie left me one of the first reviews, and what she said about these podcasts was, loving these podcasts, pulled my business funk, gave me the motivation I need to get my mind in gear, and also the confidence boost that there's things I've got out there to offer, and that I have got benefit to offer and not waste my money. So keep them coming, girl. So that is what Katie said. So if you feel that you can relate to that, want to leave a review, then please do so. So, okay, so today I have got the Maddi Cook joining me from Boss Your Salon. Now, I heard Maddi on another podcast, and pretty much a woman after my own heart in terms of teaching, inspiring and motivating people to pretty much boss it in their business, be the beauty entrepreneur that you deserve to be, and the main thing, charging your worth. It's not a giveaway service that we offer. We need to respect our trade, respect our knowledge, and basically, be the beauty entrepreneur that we deserve to be. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Maddi Cook. So welcome.
Hi, Essjay. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Welcome. I'm very excited for this interview. I think it's something that we all need to listen to and hear and take on board.
Yeah, I've been banging this drum for quite a while now. So yeah, I think it's really important that we all kind of understand this and level up from kind of, a lot of us have this mindset of like, oh, but I'm just this. So I'm just a beauty therapist, or I'm just a esthetician, or I'm just whatever you are in the industry. And we're not just that. We're, like you say, we're entrepreneurs, we're business people as well. And I kind of think we're tradespeople. So I sort of think we're in the same, why don't we treat ourselves the same way as like a mechanic, an electrician, a plumber? Yeah, they solve problems for people. They go and buy the right kit that they need to do it. They have the trade that they've learned. And I couldn't replace a radiator or, change something in my van. So I will pay an expert to do that. And we are exactly those experts as well.
Exactly. So give us, for those that don't know you, give us a little bit of background about you, what you've done, and what's brought you to what you are doing now.
Yeah, of course. So I've been in our industry for 10 and a bit years. So I specialise in hair extensions. I've been a salon owner for the last 5 years, and I've been doing coaching and mentoring for coming up to 3 years. And just really similar kind of viewpoint to yourself, that just I have knowledge that I want to share with people, and I think our industry deserves better. So I think we need to start treating ourselves better, and it's just a case of demystifying some stuff that might be a bit boring or that you weren't really sure where to start with. So that's kind of where I see my job. In terms of pricing, I was hideously underpriced. I made all the mistakes that I now teach people not to do. Just guesswork, copying other people, thinking that my location had this great big bearing and so on. And then I kind of got it right, so I knew how to do it. And then in lockdown, I had this sort of epiphany, and I was obviously staring at like 3 months out of the salon. So I was just living in my group, and I just said to them one day, guys, do you want a hand with pricing? Do you think this might be quite helpful? Just had hundreds of comments saying, yeah, I'm absolutely desperate for this. So I built a pricing calculator. Then I started doing free classes because I thought, actually, this is really helpful for loads of people, and I just want to reach like as many people in the industry as possible. Obviously done some podcasts and stuff, and yeah, it's all about, because what I realize is it's not just the numbers are obviously dead important, but actually it's the mindset, because that will be the thing that stops you from actually charging it. Like, you could sit and work them all out, but you then have to go away and ask a client for that much money, or you need to go and publish the price list. So
a lot of people get scared of doing that, don't they? A lot of people have they don't like talking about money. But if you you just touched on getting a mechanic and a joiner, you get them in. How much? They literally just throw that number out there.
And in fact,
we justify it. So a lot of therapists are like, it's this because I've got this to do, and it's like, why do people do that?
And it's kind of even more extreme. So like an electrician or whatever will come to your house, and they'll be like, oh, this is the call-out charge before I even do anything. And then they'll actually split it into parts and labour. So you know exactly how much they're charging for their labour, whereas we very, very rarely would say, oh, this is how much it cost me to buy that stuff, and this is what I'm going to charge you. We'd be horrified to do that. And then what we do, which I hope no one ever does this after I speak to them, asking a client if it's okay. So saying, are the prices £200, is that okay? Like, no, we need to stop doing that, please. I don't want to hear, no one else does that, so we need to stop.
No, to be honest, I don't do that now. I'm not saying I never did. I come from initially did the beauty therapy. I had a beauty salon from the age of 19. I had that for a lot of years, and now more in the advanced work. I don't justify my prices. I also don't. And the thing is, what I do believe is, if people think that they have to be underpricing their competition to get the clients in. And if clients are, as what I believe, obviously, let me know what you think, but if you're trying to undercut to get people in, and you get people in because you've undercut, they're always going to go to somebody else anyway, because they're continually looking at the price is being undercut, so they're not the clients you want,
100%, yeah. So if obviously clients have different values, like what is the most important thing to them, and there will be a handful of clients where price is the absolute most important, because they just don't have that kind of budget, and they just think, I want my eyebrows done, or I want this, I want that, I want my lips done, but I only have £100 to get it done. So they will just be looking for anyone who can do it within that price point. So that's where I started. So I made the mistake where, I was only 20, 21, and I just thought, if I charge very little money, I'll get loads of clients. And yeah, you do, but not necessarily the right type of clients. And a lot of people say, they're cheap. And I don't agree with that, really, because I don't think it's like necessarily a bad thing that someone just doesn't have the budget. But the issue is that they're price sensitive. So budget is the most important thing to them. So no matter how good you are, when you then start, or what product you use, what education you've got, when you then start to level up your prices, as you should, you'll lose them, because you're just not in the budget. They can't magic more money out of nowhere, so they'll just go to the next person who is on Groupon or does a cheap deal or a recommended friend or an introductory discount or whatever. So it becomes really difficult when you are there, because it's just so competitive, it's so saturated, and there are so many other people. The majority of our industry will play at that point, so you fight it out against just thousands and thousands of other people, rather than if you kind of lift yourself out of that and think, well, actually, price aside, what can I give my clients, or what there are clients out there looking for something that isn't just cheap work. What can I give them to make myself better, to elevate myself from what these other people are doing? And there are some people in our industry who do that like incredibly well, and once your client comes to you for something that is in price, they're actually much more loyal, because it would take someone really, really special and really, really good to take them away from you. And it becomes actually easier. It's weird. People think, it's going to be so hard and you're going to have to really impress your clients. Actually, it's the opposite. I felt my clients had more expectations of me when I was charging pennies than what I charge now, and they're much more loyal. I've got such a really good core group of clients who I've had for years and years. They kind of recommend everyone to me. So, and
that type of clients, then that's your fan base, you know. And I do a podcast about, you know, knowing your avatar, building that fan base. And once you get that fan base, there's so much loyalty there. They will shout your name from the rooftops, you know. Whereas these ones that are, you know, jumping from discount to discount, they won't ever recommend you. They won't ever talk about where they've had their nails done or where they've had their extensions done. But your clients will almost feel like they're being so looked after that they want to tell everybody about you, you know, regardless of price.
Yeah, absolutely. So I call them a rock star client, and they're just like your dream clients where you think, if I could clone these people and just have a diary full of them, that's what I'd have. And you don't actually need that many of them, because it multiplies. So like you say, if you get a handful of those, I can tell you now that if I get a new client in saying I've been recommended by someone, I can tell you probably one of about 6 people, because they are just obsessed. I've done them, I've done their mums, their sisters, their next door neighbours, their work colleagues. And that's, if you can keep that core group of people really, really happy, your marketing kind of takes care of itself, or becomes much, much easier, because they're doing it for you, rather than you having to constantly be like, oh, I'm the cheapest person and I've got this offer on, and that kind of constant work in terms of marketing.
Yeah. And things as well, what you'll get with that is they will then, if you say add to your menu of services, you know, so, you know, I do obviously permanent cosmetics and skin aesthetics. But if I add a retail line, if I add a subscription model, if I add whatever I add, they won't ever go anywhere else. You know, they'll have the eyebrows done with me, but then they find out I do that, and then before you know it, so people tend to try too hard to get loads of people in, reduce the price to get the people in, but they just have to focus on giving good value and, you know, building up the fan base, because they will spend more. It's so much easier to get more spend out of your regulars than spend out of, you know, people that don't know you.
And we need to keep these, I always say, these people are like the beating heart of your business, really, because if you really understand, and this is like a massive principle of marketing, is if you understand the people you want to serve, like the ideal, that's why I say like rockstar clients, if you keep them in mind, every time you think about getting a new service, you know, even when how you decorate your space, your salon, what price points, what kind of packages and stuff like that, think about, I literally have these people in mind and I go, what would she really love? Or even speak to them. And I've actually texted them before saying, I love you. Like, if I could have loads of you in, I'd be really, really happy. So actually, how did you find me? What are we doing right? What could be better? What brought you to us in the first place? What kept you here? And then you've got this really good information. And also, who's going to be annoyed getting told that they're the favourite? Yeah. Like, if I was in a business, if I was in a restaurant and someone tapped me going, Maddi, we love you.
You're my favourite.
I'd be like, oh, thanks, I do come here quite a lot. But yeah, they're not going to be annoyed about it. And if you're kind of unsure about what your magic is in your business, just go and ask the people who you love working with. Oh yeah, yeah.
You're gonna get definitely never gonna get upset by that. I did a podcast recently about knowing your avatar, so like knowing, you know, exactly who you're trying to target, exactly down to, you know, what they do for hobbies and what they do in the free time and everything else. And I think it's so important because, like you said, when it comes to your marketing, your decorating, the way you talk, the way you approach your clients, all of that, you just think of that one person, and it makes it streamless. It really does.
And it's so much easier because, you know, everyone's going on a tangent really, but you know, when you sort of, people feel paralyzed writing a caption and they're like, oh, this is going to take me hours. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I say. And I just say, imagine that person's on the other side of your computer, on the other side of your phone. It becomes much, much easier. But yeah, in terms of pricing, these people are coming to you because of how you make them feel and what you're doing, and kind of going back to value. Like, if I look at my reviews, and this is like a thing that I weirdly learned from my dad, because he rang me one day and he's like, oh, I've just been reading your reviews, which I don't really get why. And he said it was just really weird to him that no one talked about hair. He said very few people even mention what you do. And I was like, oh, really? Because I guess when you get a review, you just look at it once and go, oh, that's lovely. And then you just sort of forget about it. But actually, when you look at them together, that's such helpful information, and in terms of marketing and pricing and value and stuff. And so I went back and looked at them, and actually everyone talks about how you make them feel, what problems you solve for them, which is really important. the issues that they've had elsewhere then come to you that you've kind of fixed. Things like they're really good at listening. I had a thorough consultation. I felt really understood. I felt really comfortable. I'm usually very anxious, or I've had, big issues elsewhere and so on. And if you know that, that will increase how you understand your value as well, because no one's going, oh, I couldn't because you were the cheapest person. Or I got, and they don't even have to say value.
Leave the review, will they? Them kind of people won't leave a review. It's all about, like you say, it's how you make them feel. So going on to price then, because obviously the idea of this interview is talking about charging your worth. What do you think most people have? What are most people's mistake when it comes to charging for anything beauty, hair related? What is people's biggest mistake?
So one of what I think is the kind of core of what's got us into this situation that we're in now, which is like an industry that overall is generally quite undervalued, is that we're obsessed with competition and we're obsessed with location. So I probably see this conversation more than most people on Facebook, because I get tagged all the time, like 20 times a day, and people go and see Maddi, or Maddi, do you want to come and have a word, in here? And it's the same thing. You guys will have all seen this. It might get asked in your group. It gets asked in mine. Someone will say, hi guys, how much does everyone charge for, I've just trained in semi-permanent makeup. What's your price list? How have you set them out? What are you charging? And then you'll see dozens of comments underneath, and they'll say, I charge this, but this is where I am. I charge this and I'm in a village. I charge this and I'm in a city. I charge this, but I'm in the north, the blanket north. And I try and think, because I'm trying to be really compassionate. I think this isn't our fault, because this has come from somewhere else. This is like the done thing. We're just going with the flow that we've always gone with. And actually, I've kind of worked out where it's come from. And frustratingly, it comes from the people that we kind of look up to, as in the educators, the trainers, the suppliers, some coaches even, which baffles me. But I get sent a lot of obviously emails and stuff about pricing, and I got sent one from it was from a nail company, and they'd sent this suggested RRP. So this woman was trying to work out what it costs to do one set of nails. So she went, oh, can you give me a price breakdown of what that costs? And they went, don't worry about that. Just base it on people around you. And actually, we've made this handy RRP for you. And no word of a lie, Essjay, this is how they broke it down. They said, London, charge this much. Midlands, charge this much. Scotland, charge this much. And I was like, well, for one's a city, one's an area, one's a country. And for two, like, what about us? Like, that would miss you out. That would miss me out. Like, Wales doesn't exist. It's just absolutely bonkers. So we've got this obsession that, if you're in a village, you can't charge as much as the city. I'm in the north. I'm in the north. In the north overall is pretty kind of low income in compared to a lot of other places. There's a perception that there's not loads of money floating around, and my salon's now in an industrial estate. We don't have footfall. I don't have a high street salon anymore. There's people in my building who do the same kind of work as me. So there's all these kind of thought process where loads of people would say, Maddi, what the hell are you charging that?
Yeah.
You have to, at the very least, match what people in the same building are charging, and let alone the area. And I think this is where it's come from. And I do this kind of exercise in my free class, and I call it Her Down the Road. And I get people to just imagine that the person that we're copying off, so this is either the woman on Facebook, or that price list that you've just pulled up online, or that you've just sneakily sent someone out to go and pick up for you.
Yeah.
And actually, I try and get people... I've done it, like sending them all in to go and get another price list. But now we've got the internet, so we can see. Yeah. I get people to think actually what is beyond that number, that price number, and that service name. Like what is actually behind that? And there are actually like dozens of different factors that make pricing different. So, I mean, just a handful of examples. Obviously, things like the products that you use make things vastly different. Your own personal situation. So someone said to me I was in the middle of lockdown. She went, oh, I've just had this like epiphany about this exercise. She said, my Her Down the Road is actually my next door neighbour. So this woman does nails, as does her next door neighbour. And this woman had got kind of obsessed with her, which does happen, where I see it loads where people are like, how can she possibly charge this much? And she's undervaluing our industry, and we get quite annoyed about it. And actually she found out from a friend of a friend that this woman has a career, like really well paid. So nails is like a side hustle. And I think it's the same woman I'm thinking of, the woman on my class had kids and this woman didn't. And I'm like, if you've got like 4 kids and this is your only income, you have to charge appropriately to make sure you have enough money. Yeah. Whereas if this woman earns 40 grand a year, she can make, it doesn't matter. She can run on.
It can be a hobby.
Yeah. She could do nails for 12 quid and it makes no difference to her whatsoever. She doesn't have mouths to feed and all of her bills are covered. So, and that's just like one example, but we have no idea. And kind of to circle back round, we are making a really big assumption that the people we're copying our prices from have worked out their prices properly. And as someone who is like a professional pricer worker out there, they haven't at all. Like, I can comfortably say 95% of people at least haven't properly worked out the prices.
Yeah, I've done the same. I've followed suit initially. Yeah. Now I'm adapted, but I did initially follow suit like everybody does.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, everyone. I totally did this at the beginning, 100%. So I think this is what we've ended up with. And back in the day, this will have probably looked like, one person once upon a time coming up with like a rough price, then everyone location around them kind of copying and then copying the next person. But then with social media and Facebook and online, booking systems, this has blown up. So we now have access to like so many other people's prices. And it does get in your head, because when you see this big list of like, say if you were looking at like a semi-permanent makeup list, like on Facebook, and there was 100 people saying, I charge less than what you charge, that will get into your head and you will start to think, oh my God, am I expensive? Am I overcharging? Should I be matching these guys? And even if you understand value, it will still kind of niggle you a bit.
I don't anymore. I don't give a shit. But a lot of people would. I'm very confident with my prices. I wouldn't if I charge more.
Yeah, or if you were quite new, or if you'd maybe just recently had a cancellation and you get a bit paranoid thinking, oh my God, this is me, this is because of my prices. But the thing is, we have to, a lot of the confidence comes from kind of 2 places. So one bit of the confidence when you do increase your prices comes from actually knowing what goes into those prices on like a really kind of deep level. Because if I just said to your guys, right guys, put your prices up, 10% should be okay, they're still going to really struggle, because they'll get to the till and go, I know Maddi said it, but I don't really know why, and I'm feeling wobbly and I don't have that kind of confidence. Whereas when you actually fully understand, like, right, for a minute, this is what I need to make.
It all out.
Yeah, that gives you loads of confidence, because you actually know that if you don't charge that amount of money, you will not reach the kind of financial goals that you've set. You can never make that money again. You'll never get that 2 hours back, whatever.
Yeah.
And the second part of it, I've gone off piste a bit here. I'm trying to think what my second part was.
I always go off.
I know I'm like tangent all the time. That was it. It's like you say, actually understanding the value that we give to our clients. And that kind of comes back to what I was saying about looking at the reviews and actually seeing what we do for our clients that isn't just, I just do this and they pay me money for that. So once you understand actually the problem that you solve, and I always think we're in the business of confidence, like, and especially the work that you guys do, like, makes massive changes to how people feel. So what is that worth to someone? How do they feel before they meet you?
Yeah.
And how much of a struggle that is, and how do they feel after they've come in and had that treatment with you? Because it's that genuinely life-changing actually in some cases. Like, I get that with extensions. Like, I've got people who've either had hair loss or, they've had kids, really knock their confidence.
You can't put a price on that. You can't put a price on that. I've just met a lady, I do scalp tattooing as well. Yeah. So for men, densification, and for women as well. And I've been treating a lady. She's pretty much signed off now, but she's got full-on alopecia. She's got no hair at all. And we've spent hours and hours and hours literally tattooing dot for dot. Not because she wants to go out with no wig on. Nobody even knows that she's got alopecia. Yeah. She just wants to be able to walk past a mirror in her house and not see a white, shiny head. Yeah. And she's paid for that work. It's cost thousands because it's been such a lengthy procedure. But she would have paid anything. She would have paid anything. So because, like you say, it's that confidence, it's how they feel after that treatment. You are not just giving them hair extensions or getting their frown line. You are giving them that confidence to smile behind a camera, meet new people and hold your head up high. You're giving them something so much more than what they're actually paying for. And sometimes that prices reflect that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I don't know about you, but when I went through that task of like booking everyone in after lockdown, because we didn't take any bookings, we were like, right, when we know when we can go back, we'll text everyone. And obviously we sent a new price list out. We're like, prices have increased. I had texts from people saying like, literally, I will pay you any amount of money. Like, my hair's a mess. Like, I've been sat in lockdown for 15 weeks. My greys, I feel awful. And people were just so happy. And actually, if we think about the positive, what lockdown has done for us as an industry is actually taught our clients how much they need us, because they might have taken us for granted, or some people might have taken the industry, but actually nothing has shown people how hard it is, the work that we do. Obviously people hopefully not doing any kind of injectables and stuff, but I saw a hell of a lot of home haircuts. The grip-on gel lamps. Yeah, honestly, I'm like this.
I had long hair beginning the lockdown. I did a Britney.
Honestly, Essjay, like I am this. Like every day, I'm like, should I just do it? Because I'm like actually so sick of having my own hair now.
Best I've ever done. I love it. I don't think I'd ever go long again.
Really?
I can't do anything.
I know, but it suits you so well. I'd worry, what if I had like a really weird head shape, or like it looks really bizarre, but
mole or something hanging around. I've got a good head shape.
No, you look absolutely incredible with it. But yeah, I've seen some absolute disasters from people, kind of joking aside. And this is the thing, people before lockdown, I think, thought what we did looked easy, but it only looks easy because we've done it for so long and we're really good at it.
We have learned the trade.
Same way as a mechanic makes fixing a car look easy. I couldn't do it. Like, I wouldn't have a bloody clue. So this is it. And I think people have actually valued us much more. It's a bit like they didn't know what they had till it was gone. And now, there is that value there. Plus, in terms of things like PPE, cleaning, I'm literally just speaking to someone in a group now who, in a different group, she's posted saying she's really struggling because she's cleaning obviously so much and the cost of PPE, etc. And I said, did you put your prices up when you came back? She was like, oh yeah, £2 per person to cover PPE. And I was like, well, is your PPE £2? And how much time are you spending? Because you've just said that you're spending like 10 hours a week or something unpaid. And this was a big part of my kind of message through lockdown, and still is, for anyone who came back and didn't increase.
Prices need to be going up. They have to be going up, yeah. I
mean, ideally work out your prices properly anyway, because the chances are what you were charging before lockdown wasn't right.
Yeah.
And that's fine, still trying to do that. But if you went back and didn't increase after lockdown, or just put this like mysterious £2 or £5 on and hope for the best that was okay, it's not. And you will probably by now realise that that's coming out of your pocket and you're not making anywhere near as much. So it's just dead important. Like, and I really love our industry, and I don't want anyone to go out of business because of something that is, it is figure outable. Like, you can do it.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of understand how it.
Pricing as well, I've increased my prices, but my circumstances have changed quite a lot in lockdown. So I'm still playing around and working out more pricing. But consultations is a big thing in the more advanced aesthetic industry. Charging for consults. Now, a lot of people think, well, I can't charge for consultation, I can't charge my time. What are your views on that? Because I do video consults. I charge £50 for a half an hour consult, either in clinic or via video link. And people do question it, but I do say, no, it's for my time. It's for my time and for my knowledge. Do you agree with charging for consults?
Yeah, so I think in extension world, I know a lot of people do that now, because like, I'll never ever get a no-show for hair extensions because people treat it like better than Christmas Day, but you do get them for consultations because people just think it's free. It's 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever. They might have booked a few different ones in. They might have gone to the first place that they chose. So I know a lot of people in our kind of niche will do, say, like £15, but if you book in, it comes off the cost.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I would do my consults.
Yeah, and I always try and think, right, let's compare us to like other industries. And actually, if you went and had a consultation with like a plastic surgeon or, dentist, orthodontist, whatever, someone like that, which is actually closer to the world really that you would be. I think you're closer to that than you are to like hair and nails and stuff, because it's so advanced. I would expect to do that. And actually, you've got to think about the perception from the client's point of view. That, for me, would make me think, Essjay really takes us seriously. She really values her time. And actually, it would make me, in turn, then value your time even more.
And that's say that because I've had, it was only last week actually, I was talking to a guy via Messenger about scalp tattooing. And when I mentioned the consultation fee, he says, can I have a rough idea of how much it's going to cost? I need to just know a bit of a ballpark to know whether or not this consultation can be a waste or not. So I kind of give him, obviously via Messenger, a bit of info. And he says, you know what? He says, I really respect that you're charging for a consult. No one, everyone's thrown out free consults. And he says, it's actually made me realize that you are a professional, and I really want to see you for a consult now, because I know that you're respecting your, what you're charging. You're obviously good at what you do because you're putting a price tag on time. And most people have said that to me. And so I think it does the opposite. I think it thins out the herd of people that are just like, oh, I'll try there. But you get the real serious ones that want to actually have a treatment done, and everyone will turn up and everyone will be converted into a client. I was
just going to say, your conversions, if you do that, will just go through the roof, because you're not getting the kind of, I guess the equivalent's like the tire kickers, like the people who just have loads of consultations. They're not really fully committed to even buying yet. It might just be like, oh, it's popped in my head today, I'm going to meet a few people. But I don't even have the means or the money to do it. And you know that actually the point in which they're coming to see you, they are like so close to, or they're ready to book in,
pretty much already there. And sometimes my video consults can be, talking for 1 minute, they're like, so can I book in then? I'm like, oh, okay. So I've already sold it before they've transferred that 50 quid. It's already been sold. But there's so many people that don't, in my industry, that don't charge for consults. There's so many that don't, and I encourage people to, to definitely do that, because
I don't think there's a downside, because at the end of the day, if someone doesn't have 50 quid to pay for a consultation, they're not going to have hundreds or thousands of pounds to pay for the service.
They're not.
Yeah.
So what, if anyone that's watching who literally has just done what 95% of us have done, followed the herd, undercut, or done whatever, what advice have you got to kind of look at their prices and strip it right back? Obviously, I know you've got some free courses that are going at the moment, but just one little bit of advice, how would you say that they could kind of understand their pricing more? What would you recommend for them?
Yeah, so if you want to just do it on a kind of basic level, obviously I've got classes, I've got a calculator, but that's like a paid for thing. But if you just want to kind of get the ball rolling, is the first question I always ask people is, how much money do you want to make? And it is actually sometimes the hardest question to answer, because one, for some reason we feel horrible even uttering the words, I want to make this much money. I've actually had messages of people saying, Maddi, can I put in 50,000? I'm like, you can literally put in
what you want. I've the higher than that, but
oh god, I've had some kind of advanced guys putting in like 150k because they know it's actually really manageable. So, and also with a calculator, like, you can put anything in, then you can go and change it. So I'm like, it doesn't matter, just literally play about. It doesn't, it's not set in stone or anything like that. So think about that. Get out of this self-employed habit of only knowing how much money you make when you do your tax return 9 months after the tax year ended. Get out of that and start thinking, right, I kind of say, imagine if you were going to apply for your job as an employed person. And what you would do then is you would look at your bills, like your household bills, and you'd say, right, this is my mortgage or rent, this is my council tax, these are my overheads, blah, blah, blah. This is what I need to put away for like pension savings. I would actually quite like to go on holiday for the first time, or this is what I'm looking to do in the next year or so. I'm wanting to get that extension on my house, and actually start plotting out like an ideal, if I could walk into a job and get paid this much money, I know I'd be okay. And then apply that to us and think, well, okay, if that's what I'd have to get employed, that's actually what I have to make self-employed, rather than like, oh, I have no idea how much money I actually make, which is a lot of people as well. So that's where I would start. And that's sometimes the hardest bit, because like I say, we've got loads of things that hold us back. But just do it very privately, write it down on a bit of paper so you can actually see that figure and think about how that makes you feel as well. Like, is that okay? Think, when you see that written down in black and white, and think, I actually have to make this much money because this is my bills and, keeping me alive and so on.
That's the life that I want. That's the life I want and need.
You could have two, you could have a kind of like, what's the worst case scenario and what's like an ideal situation, and kind of go between those. And then we need to think about actually what our cost is to run a business. So a lot of people go really wrong when they work out the prices just kind of manually, because they do it really in a basic way. So I'll tell you how people do it. They'll go, this is how much it costs me to do this particular service. This is an hourly rate and I want to make £30 an hour, which I have no idea where they've got that from. They've just decided that sounds nice. And so they go, this service takes me 2 hours, so I'm going to add £60 to the service, to the cost of the stock. And that's how loads of people who've done a little bit more kind of working out have got to that point. Again, that's a kind of done thing, so I get why people do that. But if you think about it, you might not work 5 days a week. You might have white space in between. You might have time that you need to clean up beforehand, which obviously you guys will have lots of. But
now we have to do more,
Yeah, I'm just like bloody Mrs. Hinch every 2 minutes cleaning everything. We don't work to 100% capacity either. So we're making an assumption that we work every single day, 100% of those hours. So actually, when you don't work for 5 hours out of that week, you've then lost all of that time that you can't get back. So we need to actually think, well, realistically, I need to overestimate because I don't work all the time. A lot of people also think, well, or they don't factor in time off. So like, I want holidays. Like I want to be off for, 6 weeks of the year or 10 weeks of the year or whatever that is. So you need to make sure that the price that you're charging when you are working will kind of encompass the time when you're not working. Yeah. You don't want it to be, I can't take 2 weeks off, or I can't manage a lockdown because I don't make enough money. Yeah. So that's kind of where you need to start. And those are a couple of big mistakes I think that people need to factor in.
Well, I think the admin thing is a real big one, because I think that's what a lot of people who think, oh no, I know what I charge because it costs me that much for my stock and I'm worth that much an hour. And that's what a lot of people that do a little bit more than most, that don't just follow pricing, that's a real common one.
Yeah, that's like the next step, isn't it?
Yeah, it makes sense just to think, right, now what do I want to get? What do I need to get per year? What do I want to get per year? Let me then work that out on a monthly, weekly, daily rate, and then start putting that, adding onto the stock into the prices.
Yeah, and actually there's another massive thing that loads of us forget, is that our work isn't just the stock that we buy per customer. It's also all of the costs that come with running a business before we even see a customer. So, things like your insurance, and I know you guys are probably paying absolute fortune for that. So your insurance, any kind of overheads, your utilities,
we have to pay
music license, Spotify, your computers, your equipment, your training. There's so much of it. So actually, even if you go, I make £50 an hour, that's really good. You don't make £50 an hour, because out of that, you then have to factor in the business costs. So this is not the development training. Yeah, so those are my kind of tips, and that's how people realise very quickly, oh my God, I really don't make £20 an hour or £50 an hour. And some people who I've helped with this have actually, it's horrible, but they've messaged me like really upset, because they're like, there are some services that I do that I make literally £3 an hour on. And because they didn't know the cost to carry out each service as well. And especially I think in hair, you just think, it's me colour. But it's not. It's your foils, it's your gloves, it's your balls and brushes and everything that you have to replace, and masks and visors and everything now. So there's just much more to it. And I think the big kind of thing is looking forward and going, right, what do I want to make in the next year? What are my bills in the business going to be in the next year? What budget do I actually want to set aside for training, rainy day? Like if we go into lockdown again for 3 weeks, I need to make sure I've got that money set aside. Rather than what's my bare minimum to live. Like we shouldn't work like that. We're very skilled people. Like we should be making enough to have a nice lifestyle, really.
And I think what a lot of people tend to do is that they think too short term. They think very short term. They think next week, next month. They don't think 6 months, a year. And I encourage, when I do my coaching, I encourage people to think long term. What long term? What do you want in 12 months? What are you working towards? And that's where we all fall down, because I think people go into this industry because we want the personal care. We want to make people feel nice. We want that nice social job, and the business side, the entrepreneur side, is something you have to learn. You have to learn. And I think a lot of people just, oh no, I'll just do it. It's nice. And I get, I'll get my 30 quid here and there. And they forget that they are entrepreneurs. It's your business, it's your job, it's your livelihood. Yeah. And especially right now with this pandemic we've had, it's in other people's hands. We have been heavily affected, and it's a case of you either reevaluate what you've got, look at them long-term goals and figure out, right, how can I make sure that if this happens again, I'm not going to struggle, or becoming more diverse, start looking at what you do and see how you can generate more money for the time in different ways. Yeah, I think this has taught us so much.
Yeah, lockdown 100% has that. I think people have realised, I kind of saw that at the beginning of lockdown, everyone just lost their mind, me included. Like the first few days was just horrible. And then it got to, I think once we knew that it wasn't 3 weeks, which we were told it would have been.
It's a long 3 weeks, this, isn't it?
Actually, when I went back, I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to go back yet. I was like living my best lockdown life. Yeah. But I think it was kind of the middle point when they said salons are going back on, I think it's 4th of July in England. And I think it was at that point when people were like, whoa, this is not going to just go away overnight. And it was that point that I saw like a massive spike in people just going, I need to know about my business. And don't get us wrong, there were probably some people who went the whole way through having a terrible time. And I get it. It was so stressful. It still is really stressful. But this kind of stuff is what will separate the people who will weather this storm, absolutely fine, and weather the next one, to the people who won't. And I think because there is more time now, people are saying, oh, I've got all this white space. What do I do? Use that time to evaluate your business. And like you say, think about how can I bring more money in? How can I make it safer? How could I make money if there was another lockdown? Think about vouchers, membership clubs, doing online, tutorials.
Yeah, there's so much.
We live in a world now that you can make money, incredibly easily, like online and stuff like that. So people doing doorstop drop-offs and stuff. I saw some really creative ideas. So we need to really consider that, and it's like future-proofing, isn't it? And just thinking, is my business safe enough? Is it robust enough to
and I think, like you said, this unfortunately is going to separate a lot. It's going to separate the ones that are just solely relying on, time for money clients and don't have a real strong pricing structure, to those that are thinking long-term, how can they pivot? How can they adapt? How can they diverse? It's going to separate, and which is such a shame, but this is the time, no time like the present to realise your money, realise your worth, start charging your worth, and start looking at them long-term goals and start adapting, because we're very talented people. We go through a lot of training, we've got a lot of knowledge, a lot of value to share. You don't just have to share that value just by touching your clients. There's other ways. Ways. You're doing it now. I'm doing it now. And obviously with, I do virtual skin treatments now. I send out packs in the post, and I do things. We do facials online and stuff. So there's so many things people can do. Yep. So, no, it's fantastic. So what, you obviously have you have a Boss Your Salon, it's called, isn't it? People can find you, Boss Your Salon. Yep. Do you have a couple of workshops and things? Do you have a few things running like that at the moment?
Yeah, so the best kind of next step, I'd say, if anyone's watching this going, right, yeah, this kind of makes sense, but I don't really know where to start. I started running these in the middle of lockdown, and I honestly thought I'll run like 3 of them. They'll be quite helpful. I've ran them to over 4,500 people now. So as long as people keep turning up, I'll keep doing it, and they're free. So I do a class which is called a Pricing and Money Mindset Masterclass, and it's 2 hours. It's like a webinar, but they're all live. It's not like webinars that you used to, which is just loads of fluff and then a massive spend £1,000. I'll tell you my secret. I don't like that. So it's very bring a pen and paper, because there's tons and tons to go through. Loads of actionable things that you can do after the class. Yes. I do have a pricing calculator, but I'll give you a little tip. Come to the class, because you get a discount on the calculator if you do that. So I just think if someone wants a calculator now, that's fine. But I think it's a really good starting off point, because it gets into the mindset stuff, that's what unlocks the potential to go and actually do the pricing stuff. So yeah, people can find that. I can put a link in to register for the classes in this chat, or it's in my bios and stuff.
But anyone that's watching or listening to this podcast, I will have your credentials and your links and stuff at the bottom. But I do probably want to hook up with you, because I have I've created a 5-day accelerator, a free accelerator workshop, which is, I'm taking pre-registration now. So it might be quite nice to kind of hook up with you and maybe have like a little hidden module in there for money mindset or something. So I think we can kind of collaborate with that. That would be quite a good little combo. So what is the future then for you as a hairstylist or coach? Where do you see Maddi in a year's time? What's your plans?
So that's a really good question. So if you asked me this in March, I would just be like, in the salon full time, just doing coaching. Coaching was my side hustle up until March. It is now 90% of what I do, because it's just kept me so busy. And there's obviously a massive need for, and really that's nearly all pricing pretty much. I do a few other classes. I've got stuff on marketing and leadership and stuff like that. So it's about balance, Essjay, and trying to find that mythical work-life balance of, I want to stay in the salon, absolutely. Like, I love my clients. I've got 2 renters. I love working with them. I love where I work. But just having those kind of boundaries around, this is the time that I work, because I have to make sure I've got enough time for this. Yeah. And like you say, it's trading time for money. So once I've done those 3 days, whereas I can obviously reach so many more people and help so many more people by doing digital stuff. Yeah. I used to do kind of face-to-face coaching, but actually I'd much rather do much more affordable stuff that I can reach more people with. And I only make money in coaching when other people make money, which I really like. So I've had people, someone did the calculator and sent me a message saying I've made £8,000 extra in a month. I was like, okay, this feels really good. Like, this is amazing. So there's that. I've just launched a program called Inner Circle, because in lockdown I got asked a lot, do you do one-to-ones? I just said I just don't have the time, but let's do something in a group. So I've got that. That's closed. That'll open again sometime early-ish next year. And that's like a 12-month program, so that's much more in-depth. We go through things like what you kind of covered, like customer avatar, marketing, mindset, goal setting, and so on. So yeah, I'll be running that again. But I'm finding the balance now. But ask us again next week when I come out of isolation. Go back to. I think
the lockdown has, and like we were just saying, the lockdown is making or breaking people. You know, and I think that's why I related to you so much on when you did that interview, because I'm like, this is just what I've been doing. Exactly what I actually, when the lockdown hit, I didn't even have them days of feeling sorry for myself. I was fucking on it. I'm like, right, all these things, all these ideas. I want a podcast. I want this. I want that. I was just on it 100 miles an hour.
Amazing.
So so you pretty much you've pivoted, you've diverged, you've looked at your skills, and you've started throwing them out there to people, and then now you're making money. You know, you're not exchanging time for money all the time, and you've got better, longer future goals, which is just exactly what we all want and what we need to aspire to be like, really. So it's fantastic.
Thank you. No, it's been lush. I do wish I'd done a podcast, because I would love to do one, but I don't know if you ever had this, Essjay, but in early lockdown, even though I'd done mentoring and stuff for a while, I had this kind of really bad imposter syndrome about being a coach and being a mentor. And I was like, oh, you're northern, you got loads of tattoos, you don't look like the coach, especially the women. Yeah, no, because a lot of the women are like these really, well put together, Rolex wearing, infinity pools, swimming, nice cars. I have a 15-year-old camper van. Like, I'm the most opposite one of these. And I thought my accent, I'm not highly educated. I don't have an MBA, anything like that. And actually, it turns out, for anyone who feels this in their, in their work, or if you do an advanced aesthetics and you think, I'm a commoner and I'm a northerner or whatever, that is actually a superpower, and actually people love it. And I've had so many really kind words. Like, someone asked me if I would read out kids' books, story books, because their kid was with them when they were doing. I do a lot of my masterclasses on a night time, like 8 till 10, and people just love it, and they just love connecting to someone who's just like a real, like, normal person. So
yes, definitely.
And I think that's why I really like you, because I just think, I feel like if I met you in real life, like, I'd go and have a cuppa with you.
Yeah, with a bottle of wine. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So I think
I miss going out and having wine with people.
I know, but I don't drink, so but I'll come and have like a, I'll have a pop with you.
I'll have your share of wine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, Maddi, thank you so much for a fantastic interview. I am sure the listeners will love this. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure interviewing you today.
Well, thank you so much, Essjay. Thanks, BBB crew.
Thank you.
Hi guys, thank you so much for watching. If you feel that you have got great benefit from this and you would like to work with me on a one-to-one or join one of my webinars, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can connect with me on Facebook and Instagram, and all my links should be below in the description. I look forward to speaking to you soon and taking your business to the next level. Bye for now.